Good day, everyone. This is John Scarborough. Wanted to do a little discussion today about sabbatical. And I think I'm saying it right. I think I understand it right. I haven't actually done a lot of research on it, but I've been told, if I understand it right, it's basically to give a piece of land a break for a year. So essentially, that's what we're talking about today: is giving a piece of land a break for a year. And that's what we did in this small area. I think this is about a quarter acre in total. Now, what we actually cut out is beyond those trees and that creek, so it's probably closer to an actual half acre. But what we're talking about, the reason why we did it was actually for this quarter acre. It was just easier to cut out all of that, so we just went ahead and cut it all out. So what we did was we gave it a break, but we didn't keep the cattle off of it for a full year. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about what we did. It was about this time of year, right about the time, and this was last year, right about the time when it was almost time we had actually just got done brush hogging. It was getting close to time to feed hay. I mean, we're still, well, what I mean to say is getting close to time to feed hay for most people, not for us. But anyway, we decided this spot right here, there's a pipeline that goes through here. I'm gonna actually view out just a little bit, y'all. Second, there we go. There's a pipeline that runs right here. There's another pipeline that runs right there. There's actually 3 pipelines that run all through this spot right here. But then even down in here, we slumped down into a little bit of a low spot. And so this whole spot, it's right here. This is our land right here, and it's right here at the road. And it just has never performed well. It's like it doesn't grow very good grass. And you know, we've tried mob grazing it a time or two. And I say a time or two. Actually, every time we moved the cows into here, even if we didn't mob graze anything else, we almost always mobbed this spot. Okay, I've even got several videos of mobbing specifically that spot right there around those trees. And that was really tight mobbing. If you want to look at that video, I think the title of that video was how to make cows work like pigs or something like that. They're essentially doing some really deep mobbing. So it just didn't work too well. I mean, we got benefits from it, I'm sure, but my point is that there was so little forage that the grazing, it would have taken a long time. So I'm like, well, how can we speed this up? You know, we've got this process, we're trying to graze it, and we're trying to mob graze it, but there's just so little forage there that they're not trampling very much, and you cannot keep them there very long. So what we did was, once it came time to feed hay, we actually unrolled hay here and fed hay in here one time, and of course mobbed them during that time. And I've talked a lot about that, so we're not going to talk about that too much, but that was the beginning of what we did. Then we started fencing them out of this. So essentially they didn't graze from this. They didn't pull any nutrients from this, but they were here. We still used their impact, but we didn't let them graze anything. We first brush hogged it. Then we waited a couple more months through the winter, you know, let it kind of sit there and rot a little bit. And then we went on and we unrolled other hay. So what we did was we actually got some really cheap, I think it was like $10 a bale. It was hay that just wasn't really worth eating. It wasn't going to hurt them, but there just wasn't a whole lot of value there. We unrolled that, and it's because we wanted the carbon, but we didn't want them to eat all of it. But mostly because we didn't want to spend a whole bunch of money on it. I think we unrolled 4 bales right here in this little small spot. And it was, you know, $40. They ate what they could, you know, and then we gave them 1 more bale to extend the amount of time that they put their cattle impact on it. Okay, that right there in itself did a huge amount of good for this. Okay, and you can see that this place is covered in weeds. I mean, it's absolutely exploding in weeds, and it's just all sorts of different weeds. And you can tell when you look across. I mean, I'm about to brush hog everything, but you can tell looking across there, it's not nearly as bad. That's our land as well. Not up, you know, not up where you see the yellow flowers, but before that, that's our pasture. That's not nearly as bad as this right here. So we just it's like we just forgot about this. We would bring the cows in and we'd graze them around this. We left a hot wire up. You know, we'd put a hot wire up and just lock them out of this every time we'd come in and graze. Once they did that initial trampling. And one other thing we did, and I did some videos on it last year. I actually did a decent amount of videos in this area. One of the things that we did was we actually seeded sunflower seeds all over this spot underneath the hay. And we seeded that in the winter, guys. Now, it was late winter. We were getting close to spring, but it wasn't until the summer that we saw the sunflower. So that was kind of a separate little point in itself, is that the seeding of that summer sunflower, it still came up. A lot of people said, no, they'll rot. It's going to rot away and it's not going to come up. It came up. Okay. Another thing we did was we did some goats just around that one little spot right in there. Okay. Around those trees. There's several videos talking about that. But we didn't, you know, that was kind of a separate area from the rest of this. So we worked on that area separately, but we never let any cattle impact, no kind of impact in here at all. We let those sunflowers grow all the way up, and it's right here at the road. I mean, I am pretty sure everyone thought, man, John is insane. He's just letting everything grow up like crazy. Okay, so I was like, you know what, I don't care. I just, whatever. Let them think what they're going to think. So we let the sunflowers come completely mature and then let them come to seed. We did take some of the seed heads and actually feed them to our chickens. But other than that, for the most part, all the sunflowers came to seed and they all went out. And sunflowers actually have a nice root and they will break up the soil. Okay, this is one spot. This is where the hay was the thickest. We just couldn't quite get it spread out as much as everything else. But it's one spot, and you know, it's not growing as well as it should be, and it's dry as a bone. We're back into our drought again. Okay, but I think this spot's going to be really good. I think all of this is going to be really good. Okay, so is it completely healed? No, it's not. But I am noticing the grass is a lot thicker here. The plant spacing is quicker. Okay. Oh, I do want to say this because I'm sure anybody that's really knows what they're looking at can tell that there's been cows through here. So I'm making this video because we just ran the cows through all of this for the first time. So for the first time in almost a year, they've actually grazed this. So we ran them in here. But to be honest, most of the grass had already gotten woody. You know, like they weren't interested in it a lot. We just wanted to get some cattle impact, get them to knock it down a little bit. And you can even tell, I mean, if I'm looking around here, there's not even hardly any manure. They didn't stay in here very long, okay? They weren't interested in it. It was all dried up. But I wanted to get them to walk through it and trample it down. But what I like is I really think that the plant spacing is better. You know, it's not great. This is not perfectly healed land. But it's just, this is kind of like what a sabbatical is. This is what you're doing. And this is the first time I've really tried this out. And I really wanted to try it. One thing I will say is, like, this is the tallest grass we've ever had in this area. We've had grass, I mean, this doesn't look good at all compared to most of our pastures, okay? But in this spot, the reason it's fascinating to me is because in this spot, we're talking about small little pieces of grass, very hard ground. I mean, it just wasn't great at all. So I have definitely seen a big improvement just leaving it alone. But I know, and y'all know that I preach this a lot, that just simply unrolling the hay and getting the animal impact has made a big difference. But I really think that this sabbatical has helped as well. And that ground right there, that's cold, okay? That's actually cold. I'm actually laying my hand on it. It's cold. And we're dry, okay? We are incredibly dry right now. That's actually one of the sunflower seed hulls right there, still down in there. But we are incredibly dry. But I also wanted to show you all of the manure, the worm castings. Now, they're small. There's not a lot of them. It takes time to get manure castings when you're in clay because it's so hard. Okay, and that's the biggest issue that was with this, is this was solid clay up here, okay? But we have some small manure castings. That is a really, really good sign of a beginning. Now, it will take time before that happens. It's something you have to be more patient with. But I think we're going to see a big increase on this. So I'm going to come back in here in just a minute after I get done brush hogging it. And I'm going to just kind of show y'all, see if we can see much of a difference. All right, so I just wanted to show y'all after we got done. Of course, I mean, most of you have seen a brush hog place. Everywhere that's not brush hogged like this, it's because I've got a temporary post there. We have not built our permanent fence yet across our driveway, just because I am not convinced yet where I want to put it exactly, and I'm not I haven't decided yet what I want to put up. I've contemplated on different types of fences. But anyway, that's a story for a different day. I wanted to show y'all, just kind of walk around a little bit and let you look. There's not a whole lot to look at here. But I did brush hog lower than I normally did. And that's lower than I normally do. And that's one thing that I wanted to mention in here. I don't suggest necessarily brush hogging it clean to the ground. And normally I suggest brush hogging higher than this. This is about 6 inches, 6 to 7. It could be 8 inches in a few places. Typically I brush hog with the brush hog all the way up. That's how I brush hog everything, you know. And there are some places, you know, if it got to the right hill or something, it might be around 4 inches. You know, like you can tell here, it's a little bit lower, gotten down into the yellow stemmy portion of the plant. But the reason I brush hogged a bit lower here, there's two reasons. One, we're just close, we're almost out of the growing season, but we're also hot, and dry. So there's a good chance this is not going to grow very much more at all. But yet we're also finally coming into, we're starting to get cool at night, which in our part of the country actually starts to encourage the cool season grasses. So I went ahead and dropped it down low a little bit just to help encourage some of those cool season grasses to come on quicker. I wanted to help encourage that. But anyway, so that's one reason for doing that, is just to drop it down. But also, if there is any chance at this grass getting to grow some more, I would love to see that. So sometimes I find that I can do that. Most of the time I'll go ahead and raise it up as far as I can, like I said. But anyway, just kind of wanted to show y'all around here. I really think it's going to turn out really good. I like the way these trees, after we put the goats in there, how clean that is. We're probably going to cut a few of them away and clean up some of the dead stuff here and there. And we will probably mob graze that area from time to time. Now, the goal is on our place for sure is eventually to be able to run sheep across our whole place. And that will really take care of this problem right here. What I've noticed about goats versus sheep versus cows, which I plan to do a full video on this, but one of the things I've noticed is that goats work really well for really badly wooded areas. Sheep work really well for maintaining wooded areas, and cattle work good for mobbing those wooded areas. So that's just kind of a brief introduction to that. But I do plan to do a more in-depth video about the differences, because there are a lot of differences about goats, sheep, and cows. And of course, there's a lot of differences in other animals, of course, but those animals are very similar animals because they all have 4 stomachs and they all graze the same. Okay, so anyway, I just wanted to touch on that for just a second, but I really think that this is going to turn out really nice. I think we're going to see a lot more improvement. I'm already seeing a big improvement with plant density and things like that. If it wasn't so dry, I would expect we'd see a lot better improvement. I think things would be even better than they are even now looking at it. So I'm excited to see that. One of the other reasons I did go a little bit lower is here in the south we have a big problem with ants and ant mounds, and there's goods and bads to that. One of the bads to it is if you got a lot of clay soil like we do, then we'll actually get really tall ant mounds, just big old huge ant mounds that will just absolutely roll a four-wheeler and could potentially kill you on a tractor. So sometimes going a little bit lower on your brush hog can help to knock some of those down. But anyway, so I just wanted to show you all that, guys. I hope you all like this. Don't forget to like and subscribe as always. So yeah.